Well, we're talking about the finance of fashion. That is because earlier on this week, it is earnings season right now. LVMH, the French luxury goods giant, reporting a 14% increase in its profitability, not against last year, but against 2019 pre-pandemic. It says demand is booming from China to the United States. But what's the situation here in the Middle East? Well, the Chalhoub Group is the representative for a number of luxury fashion brands here in the UAE. Looking on their website this morning, it's quite a list, Thomas Urquhart. And this is not an exhaustive list. Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, Sephora, Dior, Fendi, Kenzo and Lacoste. Michael Chalhoub from the Chalhoub Group joins us on the line right now. Morning, Michael.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Really good. Thanks very much indeed. Really keen to find out what's happening here in the Middle East. And I'm going to caveat that before we start by saying you do not work for LVMH. It's a listed company in France, so you're not a spokesperson for them, but you are a spokesperson for the Chalhoub Group, a luxury goods company here in the UAE. So with that said, to keep the lawyers happy, what are you seeing on the ground here? Is the global boom in luxury goods sales happening in the Middle East?
Yes, I mean, we can feel that. More than that, I would say that the luxury market has recovered even faster in the GCC than in the rest of the world. We've seen a lot of sectors suffer in the Middle East, sectors like hospitality or FMCG. But it's true that with luxury, we're not feeling the same way. We're feeling like there's a lot of willingness to be able to suit ourselves in the best of ways and to make the most out of the lives that we're living. And so the global luxury market is deemed to recover by 2022. In the GCC, what we felt is 2021 has already been back to normal levels. So we're talking about beauty, which is plus 1% in prestige beauty versus 2019, but we're also talking about fashion, which is rising at an even higher pace than 2019.
Well, so beauty is better than 2019, only just by 1%. What would you say that percentage is for fashion versus 2019?
About 6 to 7%. But it really depends on affordable, aspirational or high-end fashion. And what we've really noticed is that there's a very strong performance on high-end and absolute luxury brands, including jewelry, but also very high-end fashion, much more than premium fashion brands.
Well, I mean, one man's premium and one man's high-end is a very different thing. If we're looking at I think you called it the very high-end, what would be a typical ticket size for a purchase there? Are we talking in dirham terms, thousands, tens of thousands, perhaps even more than that? Well,
the average ticket size can go from 4,000 all the way to 6,000-7,000 dirhams. We've seen that there's definitely a number of consumers that are willing and wanting to spend those amounts. Definitely tourists have come back to Dubai, and even though we've only welcomed about 1/3 of the normal amount of tourists, we've also welcomed them for longer periods of time and usually tourists with higher incomes. It might not be the same types of tourists that we used to welcome, probably less people coming from China, from India, from Saudi Arabia, but much more affluent Europeans, Russians, even Africans that have been coming. And then on top of that, we've had a very strong local consumption with a repatriated consumption. We've seen a lot of local Emiratis, local Saudis spend in their own countries rather than spend abroad like some of them used to. We've estimated that about 1/3 to half of their consumption was based abroad in London, Paris, Geneva, Istanbul, and now it's concentrating more and more in their home countries.
So let's talk about how people are shopping. Even before the pandemic, Michael, we'd spoken to you and your colleague Patrick about the pivot towards e-commerce, towards online, and there was a big focus for you and your organisation and others like yours in doing that. What have you seen during the pandemic?
Well, a huge rise of e-commerce, obviously, with high expectations that are increasing very fast in terms of customer experience, user experience, same-day delivery, last-mile delivery. But in general, what we've seen is even more so in 2021, but also in 2020, nearly doubling sales in e-commerce for prestige beauty, for high-end fashion. Plus 96% in the GCC, plus 138% in the UAE.
Plus 138%?
In 2021 versus 2019, yes.
Okay, that's quite a leap, isn't it? But in terms of your bricks and mortar stores, because I mean the Chalhoub Group's been around for more than half a century in this region now, and those flagship, those expensive stores in good locations, in premium shopping malls with a very expensive fit out, has always been a big part of what you've done. Does that store still have a future? Are those stores still generating enough money to justify those rents, to justify the staff, to justify the fit-out fees?
What we see from our data is that there's a really new type of customer that's coming along, which is a hybrid customer. And those are the most prominent types of customers. People that want both the offline experience and the online purchases. And so these hybrid consumers are buying much more than the consumers that are buying only from stores or only from e-commerce. And what we need to do is keep the customer at the center of everything that we do and cater to her in the best of ways. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think it's the right balance to have a certain amount of brick and mortar stores and to have a fully functional great experience online.
But how do you make sure that if I do that, if I walk into one of your expensive stores in one of the Emirates or Riyadh, that I don't then go and buy the product on the Selfridges website and get it shipped over here?
Well, at the end of the day, I think that if we bring value to the customer, wherever they tend to buy the product, we'll be there to gain. So obviously, we'll try to better understand how to cater to that person best. And if it's a price problem, if it's an assortment problem, then we'll try to cater to some of these problematics even better and better. However, at the end of the day, what we're after is pleasing our customer, because we want that customer to be loyal to us. And we try to find the best of ways to do that, even if that means finding those products, even for her, online on different variety of websites.
And you've got this deal with Farfetch, I think you did quite recently, didn't you? Which I guess is part of that. 10 seconds on that?
Yeah, we have a joint venture with Farfetch in the region, and we've allowed ourselves to take the stock that our customer requires from a variety of different stores, both within the region and outside the region,
Michael,
and make
we're
sure
out of
that
time.
we cater to her.
We're going to have to leave it there. Fascinating conversation. Appreciate your time this morning. Michael Chalhoub of the Chalhoub Group talking to us about the rise in luxury goods sales.